2018 was full of a whole bunch of oopsies in the gaming world, whether it's video games, trading card games, retro games, or whatever type of game you're into. I thought it would be fun to go back and just take a look at some of the biggest boners of 2018. But first, I want to bring in a special guest to share their biggest gaming boner of the year.
If you know the name Billy Mitchell, chances are that you remember him as the antagonist from the documentary King of Kong. That was the movie where he tried to stop underdog Steve Wiebe from breaking his Donkey Kong high score. And the thing about documentaries is that they have to kind of play these things up for the sake of the narrative, so you have to take it for a grain of salt when a guy like Billy Mitchell is portrayed as a villain. However, in the case of King of Kong, they might not have had to exaggerate so much. Because as it turns out, he might have cheated to get those high scores. This all came to light earlier in 2018 when people started to notice that in the videos of his playbacks, the graphics were more consistent with emulators than with official hardware. Twin Galaxies, who maintains the high scores, only accepts official hardware gameplay because with an emulator, you can do things like splice together multiple playthroughs or cheat with save states. And although you can't prove that Billy did this, considering the mathematical near impossibility of getting as many blue barrels as he did, it's very likely that he did do that. Subsequently, Billy Mitchell was banned from Twin Galaxies and all of his high scores were purged, and although Billy Mitchell is by no means a bad player, it's crazy to think how much this world of professional gaming was built on a foundation of lies.
Hell yeah, Justin. I didn't even remember that when I was asking people to submit their top ideas for this. So thank you for doing that video, and also I'll leave a link to your wonderful channel in the description below. One of the next most interesting controversies slash boners, I'm still working out the title as I shoot this, was your boy Soulja Boy, who will henceforth be known as Soulja Boy. And that actually topped the list of another friend of the channel. Let's check it out.
Oh boy, I get to talk about Soulja Boy again on the Quarterings channel. What's up, Jeremy? Let's talk about what I think my biggest fail for 2018 was or is, and it still has to be Soulja Boy. I know I just made a video on it on my channel yesterday, but man oh man, let's discuss it on the Quarterings channel too, because man is it delicious. So in case you don't know, Soulja Boy is a rapper that really rose to fame in 2007 for his single Crank That. It was all over the radio. And due to his fame back in 2007, I believe he has a net worth now of $30 million. He lost relevancy relatively quick, pretty much after that single. I know he's still doing, albums and stuff underground, but he's nowhere near the level of fame he was at back in 2007. And honestly, I haven't thought about Soulja Boy since 2007 until late 2018 when out of nowhere, he is pretending, or was pretending, that he was becoming a viable console competitor when he released consoles, clone crap consoles, on his website, and they were just cheap knockoffs from Anbernic that you could get like on AliExpress for 40 or 50 bucks. They looked like an Xbox One X. They also had a portable console that looked like a Game Boy Advance. He was selling them for insanely hiked up prices, with a whole bunch of illegal ROMs on there that he did not get permission from companies like Nintendo, Capcom, SNK for, and it made the whole internet light on fire. I made a bunch of videos on it. There's other content creators, including The Quartering, that made videos on them, because the whole concept was absolutely ridiculous. Now, a bunch of people criticize YouTubers like me, RGT85, Spawnwave Media, Dreamcast Guy, The Quartering, for going after Soulja Boy for selling these knockoff consoles, but not going after other companies. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. China doesn't give a crap about our copyright laws. So they're going to sell their stuff on AliExpress and other websites, and they don't give a damn. When Soulja Boy was drop shipping those consoles with illegal ROMs and games he didn't have permission to sell, he was legally liable. But here is the thing. Here is the thing, too. I don't think anybody, including me, would have really cared. What made people really lose their minds was it wasn't like just Soulja Boy was selling these consoles for 10 bucks more than you could get it on Amazon or AliExpress. He was charging like 3 or 4 times the price. And the other thing that really caught people's attention too is he was trying to make it like he was trying to become a viable console competitor. Like he was going to go up against Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. It was just like, what is going on here? It wasn't that he was just reselling consoles. He was trying to make it like, hey, this is the next Xbox. This is the next Nintendo Switch. And what made things even more insane was he was also selling a console that was called the Fuse. It was meant for Chinese markets only, and it was back in 2016. We never heard anything else about it, and it just faded into existence. He started reselling that for $400. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to get ultra technical here. The processor inside of this failed Chinese console was the Tegra K1, which was a predecessor to the Tegra X1 chip, which is what's in the Nintendo Switch. So it's less powerful than a Nintendo Switch, this console. And Soulja Boy was trying to sell it on his website for $400. The same price that you could get an Xbox One X for or a PS4 Pro. That's what he was selling this Game Fuse console for. Hey, at least it was on sale. He was originally trying to sell it for $699. So it's a bargain. Now, I'm not going to go into specifics because I don't want to see Jeremy get demonetized. But Soulja Boy said some colorful things about the gaming community, calling people homophobic slurs and retards and so on and so forth. It'll take you 2 seconds to look up the tweets. And he even said that he got permission from Nintendo to use their IPs. He got permission from Nintendo to use their IPs on knockoff consoles that emulate the games poorly. Does anybody believe that? Show of hands. Oh, look, there's no hands except mine, which I'm not really raising mine because everyone knew he was full of shit. Well, let's continue to add another layer of ridiculousness to the whole Soulja Boy fiasco, and this just happened a couple days ago, is that content creators like me, I'm sure the Quartering too, Spawnwave Media, RGT85, Dreamcast Guy, list goes on and on and on, were accused of being racist. They were saying we were criticizing Soulja Boy because he was black. If he wasn't black, we wouldn't have cared. Which, I guess if you use that logic, I guess I must be prejudiced against Todd Howard, the creator of the Fallout series, because I've made countless videos criticizing him and Fallout 76. So I guess I must be prejudiced against slender white dudes that wear leather jackets. It was the most ridiculous argument ever. I swear on my children, I didn't even think about Soulja Boy's race until I was accused of being racist for criticizing him. It had nothing to do with his race. It had to do with his ridiculous marketing move he was doing with these consoles. And it infuriated me that the race card was even brought up because I didn't even think of race. Race had nothing to do with it. Well, drum roll please. In the end, shockingly, like we predicted, Soulja Boy had no choice but to take his consoles down. He even made an indirect tweet on Twitter about it, saying, hey, there's nothing I could do. I had to, what did boss move? Yeah, real boss move. You had to stop selling your crappy clone consoles with ROMs you did not have permission to sell, so you were selling them illegally. And in the end, even though he said, no, everything's fine, everything's kosher with Nintendo, everyone's being dumb, I could continue to sell these consoles, he had to take all of them down. You could go to his website now, and there's not a single console on there because, like we predicted, he didn't have the rights to sell those consoles with ROMs on them. And that was the biggest problem. Also, too, a little side note for everyone out there, because I have reviewed clone consoles and EverDrive carts from Stone Age Gamer. Just want to add this in real quick. You can sell clone consoles of old systems. It's 100% legal. You could sell flash carts. It's 100% legal so long as you don't include ROMs on them. As soon as you include ROMs, then you're going in illegal territory. That is illegal. That's the difference. Soulja Boy wasn't just selling hardware, he was selling hardware with ROMs on them. On top of that too, yeah, there's other companies out there that do it. What really caught our attention was the prices that he was selling them at, and the fact that he was trying to sell a dead Chinese console for the same price as you could get a PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. And he even tried to make it, he showed a picture on his website when he was still selling that console, that he had AAA developers on board to develop games for that Fuse console. He was lying, he was being unethical, and no matter what race he was, if it was Macaulay Culkin, we would have called him out. And Soulja Boy trying to sell these knockoff garbage consoles is what I consider the biggest gaming fail of 2018. Back to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Rich. Again, I'll leave a link to Review Tech USA in the description below. You should absolutely check out his channel. He covers a lot of the things I do, but he also has a keen eye for the tech side of things and hardware, which I simply don't have the knowledge base to cover. And on to a third. guest on today's video. And before I share what I think was the biggest boner of 2018, let's see if I can drag this dog out from the rain and get him to make us a video.
Hey, it's me, Rags. And yeah, for those of you wondering, dogs do have prostates. So 2018 was full of losers. In a way, it's hard to choose between them all. Bully hunters, battle state games, electronic arts. You had Dirty Bomb, Mortal Engines, that Han Solo movie thing. Remember that? That was a thing. But honestly, I think my personal pick for biggest loser of 2018 is Bethesda Game Studios and their recently released open-world first-person shooter, Fallout 76. Turns out war does change, and apparently it gets fucking worse. So Bethesda gets my personal selection this year because they didn't just fuck up once. No. It was just over and over and over. And if I didn't know any better, one might think that they were trying their damned hardest to make continually horrible decisions to spite their players and to destroy their franchise. Fallout 76 released in a deplorable state after an equally calamitous beta that came out only a few weeks before the official launch. The game itself was buggy, messy, unfocused, inconsistently difficult, surprisingly cumbersome for a first-person shooter in 2018. It just had a Fallout coat of paint, and it stripped away many of the wonderful elements of the series thus far. In an attempt to bring the Fallout universe always online for a multiplayer-only experience, Fallout 76 introduced a whole host of strange gameplay issues that persist, well, to this day. Stay tuned for my upcoming review. Enemies pop into existence before your very eyes. They fly into each other. They magically regenerate all their health. Sometimes they turn invincible. They'll hit your character from far beyond their actual reach. They'll shoot at walls for no reason. They'll T-pose. And sometimes when you throw grenades, they just don't explode, because fuck you. Enemy body parts and textures won't even load until you shoot them. You can see alternate dimensions through walls. Axes are pronounced spear. You can literally take damage for no reason.
And not think about these issues.
Enemies will teleport away because they're sick of your shit. Shadows will appear for objects that do not exist. Sometimes the animation budget gets slashed. Enemies cannot traverse onto knee-high objects, rendering them completely impotent. Your ability to loot is dependent on the whims of the server connection, assuming the server doesn't disconnect and ruin your progress. No! No, I spent the last 50 minutes fixing this shit for an event! The weapons of enemies won't even be inside of their hands or pointed at you, and they'll be upside down and they'll be disassembled. Placeholder names for events and objects have not been given their proper, finished game designations. Long barrels and short barrels are apparently the same length. I think you probably get the idea now. The game features no dialogue, no human NPCs, an abysmally unbalanced PvP system. I mean, you guys were clamoring for PvP in Fallout, right? The game has terrible performance, and I'd better fucking stop myself before I go insane. The game's awful. Don't buy it. Anyway, this doesn't even get into the other reasons why Bethesda's become the worst thing since always. They've been caught up, as no doubt the watchers of this channel know, in a number of controversies surrounding the product itself and the community, and the products for the community. The neat canvas bags that were advertised in their $200 Power Armor edition of this shitty game. Oh, and if you bought one for yourself, don't worry, we're laughing with you, not at you. Fucking retard. Instead, were actually cheap nylon bags. Bethesda accidentally released a lot of users' personal information to other users in their attempt to mend this, and files were found in the game that imply loot boxes might be coming, as well as many DLCs into the future. Players have been banned for making silly gay jokes in the game because some people in the world are weenies, and even using graphical mods in the game, to make it look less shit, has got some players banned, and they were told to write essays to get their accounts back about why cheating's super bad. Bethesda advertised a special $80 dark rum drink that was themed for Fallout, and it turned out to just be mediocre alcohol in a standard cheap glass bottle encased in a cheap plastic case. Wow, Bethesda. What a bunch of winners. Anyway, that's why Bethesda's my big loser of the year. Totally excited to see another franchise I love be destroyed. Thanks so much, Bethesda. I'm definitely looking forward to the next Elder Scrolls. I don't know about you. Anyway, you guys have a magical new year. And don't forget to subscribe to PewDiePie to own the libtards. Bye-bye.
All great options for Fail of the Year 2018, but I have a few other options to get into, and I want to again thank Regs, Review Tech USA, and Justin Wang for producing some sweet guest spots free of charge. So if you enjoyed their spots, make sure you take a second to check out their channels. They will be linked in the pinned comment below. Give them a subscribe. Tell them I said what's up. So before I get into my runner-ups, I want to take a minute to shout out to everything that Stan Lee did for comics and for Marvel movies and for showing people what respecting the fandom really looked like. Stan Lee's final years were suboptimal, to say the least, but I choose to look at what he left us with, and of all the superheroes and amazing cameos he did, amazing fan meetups he did, the one thing that I think will stick with me the longest is that Stan Lee epitomized what respecting the fandom looked like. He made time for the fans. He never disrespected them. He knew the fans were what made him. He remained humble until nearly 100 years old. Stan Lee will be a once-in-a-lifetime character, a once-in-a-lifetime experience if you've ever met the man. And while it sucked to lose him this year, he is undoubtedly with his wife now, and his suffering is over. Thanks, Stan Lee, for everything you did. Let's get back into the fails runner-up edition. So, of so many things to choose from, and we've got some great selections from the fellas that provided me clips. I want to talk about Battlestate Games, maybe copyright striking one of their most popular streamers because they didn't like some of the criticism they had. We had shout out to Jessica Price attacking the Guild Wars 2 fandom, calling them man babies, eventually getting fired. We can talk about the Witcher Netflix series getting woke and race-bending certain characters for seemingly only political reasons. We can talk about the absolute trash state that the Ark expansion Atlas launched in when it clearly should have been DLC. We could talk about the absolute failure that the PlayStation Classic ended up being, the wasted opportunity. Some of the big other runner-ups could have been the Diablo Immortal reveal, which was one of the most secondhand cringiest events I've ever seen. I felt embarrassed for those fellas up on stage having to announce a mobile game to Blizzard's most dedicated fans. What about Blizzard's new policy where you must link your Twitch account to your Battle.net account so that if you say anything naughty, you could possibly lose your entire World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, whatever Blizzard game you may own, you could lose that. Could talk about the video game tax hitting Chicago this year, an additional 9% tax. All these would have been excellent choices for fail of the year, and I'm sure many of you have taken to the comment section to type yours out, and I hope that you have. But to me, the absolute biggest fail of the year was Don't Like It, Don't Buy It. There just is no beating that. Congratulations. Get woke, go broke, everybody. Patrick Soderlund calling fans of the Battlefield 5 series uneducated for not wanting cybernetic women on the battlefield, for telling fans essentially, don't like it, don't buy it, and the fans responded in kind. The software as a service, the drip of content that Battlefield 5 has given its players, the absolute marketing debacle placing itself against the player base as opposed to working with it, can't possibly not win Gaming Fail of the Year. It just can't. when you are outwardly directly telling your customers that you don't want them to buy your product and then they don't, and your stock is down hundreds of millions of dollars when you're EA, when your game is 50, 60, 70% off mere months after release, the Battlefield 5 has to be one of not only the absolute worst launches of all time, but it is clearly the fail of 2018 in what could have been an amazing year for fans of that franchise. It was mired in controversy after controversy after controversy, on top of issues with the game itself, with the TTK, with the fact that you have to wait till March to receive the Battle Royale mode, software as a service as some disgusting way to get your money from players and then slowly deliver the content that by the time they get it, they won't even be playing your game anymore. Congratulations, Patrick Soderlund. I know you stole $20 million from EA to go start your own development company. I can't wait to see what kind of woke product you release. I hope you enjoyed this show. I hope to make the show exceedingly good in 2019. Much more production, much more cameos. It was kind of a last-second idea that I had. I hope you enjoyed it, though. And again, thank you to all of you for always crushing that thumbs up button and leaving comments. It really has helped the channel a ton. Thanks again to Rags, Review Tech USA, and Justin for producing videos to help spice it up and make this one a little more interesting. Thank you for everything in 2018. Let's crush it in 2019, everybody.